Hi, and welcome back to Tampa Bay Right Now. We're talking about childhood obesity, and with me is Maureen and Christina. So let's just keep talking. I have a million things we could talk about this for hours, we said. So I know I'm a mother. We talked about we both have kids. I said you're a mother to thousands at your YMCA. So I know for me it's always about fast and affordable food. I'm always on the go. I'm always doing stuff. So I know it's difficult for people to find food that is healthy and affordable. You know, if I had the choice between shopping organic, I would, but it's just so expensive. So are there resources out there that you would say that we could go to? I mean, I Google all the time, you know, healthy alternatives to, you know, this fast food. Would you have anything that you could share with us that maybe you've learned about?
Well, they're starting to have some more better choices, especially when they're coming out with foods for the younger age groups. More like the toddler age groups are like starting with, you know, more whole grains and limiting sugar and their kinds of foods. And I think it's going to trickle up a little bit, other choices. And even when you go fast food places, you have choices on the menu, and some choices are better than others. Like you could have milk as opposed to soda, or you can have apples instead as opposed to French fries or something. So you have choices, and it's about learning about what kinds of foods are healthier for you than other foods and making some wiser choices.
Yeah. And Maureen, I know you were saying it's about a lifestyle of this. So I think it's important to say the kid may not like it the first time, but it's about it becoming a habit. I mean, if they've been on sugary foods, then it's going to be difficult to make that initial change. But what kind of advice or encouragement would you give to people that maybe want to make this change, but you know, the kid's crying in the corner, they don't want to eat the, you know, vegetables we put on the plate?
Well, sometimes you've got to make a little bit of a compromise. Like we do these things called ants on a log. So you take a celery stalk, and a kid's not going to gravitate toward a celery stalk, but you put some good wholesome peanut butter on it, you put raisins on top. And now you've got ants on a log, and you allow them to be part of the preparation process. And you really let them make a lot of the choices. And really, kids will learn very quickly. And if you let them help shop in the grocery store, and remember, we talk about shopping the perimeter, which is where all the fresh foods are. Stay out of the processed foods as much as possible, and teach them to just try it. All I want is one bite. You try it, and let's see if we can go from there. A lot of it is allowing them ownership, just like as an adult. We're the same way. You know, if I get to make my own decisions, then I gravitate toward it a little bit more. So as children make their decisions and help in the preparation, it will help them to own that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. The more you get the kids involved, the more they'll be interested. If you let them help you pick out what vegetable you're going to serve, help cook the vegetable, maybe even grow some vegetables in your backyard, they're going to be much more interested in trying them and eating them.
Gardens are huge.
Yeah, it was just when she said
that's a great idea. And I mean, they grow abundantly. I just dug a hole in my backyard and threw some tomatoes and some peppers and some squash, and poof, it popped. And they're beautiful too. You know, the kids in the neighborhood are just amazed at how quickly it grew. And we do that in all of our schools that we serve that have green space and available to us. And then the kids get to grow they get to water them, they get to pick them, they get to eat them, and they might get to taste things they've never tasted.
Right, and I've noticed with my child in particular, when I send her to school, I don't do the school lunches, but if she helps me pack the lunch, then she comes home and it's empty. She's done it. If I just send her with a few things, then it's not as fun for her. So I think what you said about getting them involved is really important. So when we're talking about childhood obesity and we talk about how it affects everyone, how can we as a community get involved? Does the YMCA put on any sort of events that we can come to? I know you're laughing. She's probably like, we have tons.
Well, and I mean, take summer camp. Summer camp is just filled with, you know, giving children opportunities, and kids will naturally gravitate toward play. Not every one of them, but most of the kids will, and we have the obligation as staff to make sure that those who don't do. So it's an all-inclusive play. But we have what we call Healthy Kids Day, which we do every April. It's a national event, and thousands of kids came to Curtis Hickson Park this year just to introduce new things to kids. What, you know, hula hooping. How many children have never hula hooped?
So true.
Jump roping, hide and seek, you know. And a lot of times parents are scared because there's a safety factor perhaps in their neighborhood. So we've actually taught a lot of kids how to play hide and seek in a Y, and that's their first exposure to it. But that's okay. We can play that role in the community also. But just, and if the family gets involved, one of the things that we strongly try to get our branches to do is to create obstacle courses, but let the kids build them let the kids determine what the steps are to them, but then get mom and dad out, or the whole entire family, all the brothers, sisters, siblings, to come out and try it. And so everybody, so they own it, and then they get everybody else involved in it. Again, that ownership thing becomes
huge. A sense of responsibility for kids makes them feel like they have something important to be, a part of, to be in charge of, and they probably would want to succeed at it even more.
Absolutely.
So how can we join forces with like doctors, get people going to the YMCA, get people going to parks? What would you suggest for that?
Well, the YMCA is a great organization, and it's one that most people have heard of, even if they're not familiar with their local one. Sure. But it could be a resource when you're talking to your patients about they don't know where to go to play. You can always suggest the YMCA is a great place to get started, to a whole bunch of different activities that they can do there.
Right, and there's activities for all ages, like you said, which I think is important. When we're talking about younger kids who may be, really young. I've seen, these shows where 2-year-olds are obese. When you can't really communicate to them in a way that they're actually going to understand it, would you say that was really, it's the parents' responsibility? Like, we've got to get these parents involved and excited about the health of their kids?
And you just have to talk to them and explain to them, really so they understand what the problem is. For a 2-year-old kid, we don't want them to go on a diet. We don't really want them to lose weight. We want them to kind of grow into the weight that they have, and we really just want them to play. We want them to do the things a 2-year-old's supposed to do, which is run around like crazy and get into things. We want them to play.
Right, and it was interesting what you said about how parents are afraid now to let their kids go out and play. And I had never even thought about that until you said that that's true. I was out on a bike. I was riding around. I was in the front. I was at neighbors' yards because we didn't have, all the same concerns as we do now. So I think it is really important to get into these after-school programs, to get into these summer camps, and also to get the family involved.
Absolutely.
Because if the whole family's together, there's not that worry there anymore. So any last words, any final advice you'd give to people out there who maybe are sitting and watching right now and they're like, that's me, or I know someone like this? What's maybe the first step that they can take to getting help?
Well, I would say engage in that play mentality again. Just be okay with getting up and moving. That's a great start. And obviously, you're welcome at a YMCA.
Sure.
Any Y, please, come on in. We'll take care of you once you're in there. And all of the intros are all free, so there's no additional cost or anything like that. But go back to being a child. That childlike mentality is so important to maintain.
Right.
So.
Well, thank you both so much for joining me today and for being here. If you have any questions, comments, or would like more information on this topic, you can visit our website. That's what's happening right now in Tampa Bay. I'm Allison Burns. See you next time. Good night.